Well, kids, Star Wars is coming back in 2026.
What?
Ray's back.
No, God!
And it's being helmed by a woman of color.
I like to make men uncomfortable.
Thank you. I'll come again.
And she lets you know it.
To shape the story in a galaxy far, far away.
What, are you retarded?
Oh, and the storyline? It's all about checking boxes.
Fuck.
So you know it's going to be trash. Yeah! I'm Jasper Gonzo, and this. So what's next? Good day, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages. I'm your humble host, Jasper Gonzo. This is What's Next, another episode for you. Of course, as always, this is your daily dose. Oh, and happy Thursday. This is a story that I wanted to do yesterday, but of course I had a couple of ones already done and in the oven and cooked, and so I didn't get around to it, but yeah, I'm getting around to it now. This has gone viral, and only because of how juicy this thing is. Star Wars, a legendary franchise, iconic in pop culture, from Darth Vader to Luke Skywalker to Han Solo to Princess Leia. The stories, the ambiance, the galaxies far, far away. You loved them then, you may not love them now. As we've seen over the last 3 to 5 years, when it comes to actually storyline, and now Disney owns it, well, Star Wars has become garbage. Last Jedi, anyone? Well, in the proud tradition of Star Wars, Kathleen Kennedy's Star Wars. A new Star Wars is coming in 2026. And yes, Ray's back. This will be her movie because it's all about her. And of course, it's being helmed by a new director. But you're thinking, okay, what kind of director are we having here? You got someone who knows the Star Wars universe, who's experienced it, who's directed it, who knows knowledge of it? No, my friends, that would be asking too much because it's called common sense. She's a woman of color, and she lets you know it. And here we go. This, excuse me, comes out of Bounding in the Comics. Upcoming Rey Solo film director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy says it's about time we had a woman come forward to shape the story of Star Wars. And I'll talk about that in my thoughts. In a declaration that could seem only come from someone who has spent the last decade completely detached from the once beloved sci-fi franchise, director Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy has opined that one particularly exciting aspect of her upcoming Rey Solo film is that finally, to quote The Rock, has allowed Wamen to guide the Star Wars narrative direction. Obaid-Chinoy, whose directorial filmography primarily consists of documentaries on politics and political strife in Pakistan, that's it, offered her insight into the forthcoming dance with the Force while speaking to CNN's Christy Lauschat and Network's 2033 New Year's Eve broadcast. Touted by Stout as the first woman of color to direct a Star Wars film, the director who appeared in a pre-recorded video with the anchor opened the discussion with elaborating on her personal excitement towards the forthcoming Lucasfilm. I'm very thrilled about the project because I think that we're about to create something very, very special, she said. And we're in 2024 now. I think it's about time that we had a woman come forward to shape the story in a galaxy far, far away. She's right there standing next to Daisy Ridley and, of course, the satanic herself, Kathleen Kennedy. As noted above, the 2-episode Ms. Marvel director's comments come off as absolutely baffling, given the real attention to overall Star Wars franchise is given to the female perspective ever since the 2012 purchase by the House of Mouse. Following the completion of the sale, Disney proceeded to promote the film producer Kathleen Kennedy to President Lucasfilm. Of course, she was a secretary for the longest time. Yeah, she got coffee, but let's make her president of the company anyway. Who cares? And at which time she proceeded to position the aforementioned Rey as the overpowered, poorly written protagonist of the franchise's third and unfortunately canon trilogy. Really? Is it canon? No, you can't call Last Jedi. No, it's trash. Additionally, during her tenure as president, Kennedy was also overseeing the production of such a Star Wars television series such as Mandalorian, great in Season 1 and Season 2. See Gina Carano, Obi-Wan Kenobi, which has been a bust, and Ahsoka outside of Episode 5, was total trash, each which made heavy-handed, even forceful attempts to boasting the franchise profiles of their respective female woman leads, often at the expense of their male counterparts' characters. Fact, and more. Facts. For example, since her introduction in The Mandalorian, Bo-Katan has managed to upstage Din Djarin in nearly every turn of their adventures, and even the climax of the latter's ongoing feud with Moff Gideon being brought to a close by his female ally. In Obi-Wan, despite her being far more experienced in combat and force manipulation than even her fellow Inquisition's members, as evidenced by her absolute handling of the Grand Inquisitor, Reva is still shown to be able to briefly go toe-to-toe with Vader himself, even managing to disarm the Dark Lord of his lightsaber before her eventual defeat. Yeah, okay. And then there's even the fact that Ahsoka sent around a cast of primarily female characters, which was not an objective negative or itself, is notably due to how pokes holes in Obi-Chanoi's statement, further countering the director's narrative and really not only having numerous women serve in various behind-the-scenes roles in the franchise, such as New Hope's editor Marsha Lucas, Obi-Wan Kenobi's director Deborah Chow, Mandalorian director Bryce Howard on several episodes, Ahsoka directors Jennifer Genzik and Geeta Vasant Patel, and Rebels co-creator Carrie Beck, but that's the next entry. The Acolyte will be helmed, written, starred by a team of primarily Wamen. But hasn't been done until now. The movie's going to be trash. Just being straight up. The fact of the matter is, let's make it clear, I'm not the biggest Star Wars fan. I'm more of a Star Trek guy than anything else. But the fact of the matter is that I remember watching episodes 4, 5, and 6 when they were re-released at the theaters with my nephew back, 25 years ago? Something like that, 25, 30 years ago. So it's been a while. But anywho, the whole, if it's not broke, you don't fix it. That goes with anything. You know, movies, television, politics, whatever. If it's not broke, don't fix it. But then again, this is Disney woke, and this is the problem that they have. That's the reason why everything they've put out over the last 2 to 3 years has been absolute trash. Marvel's anyone? But anyway, to say that I'm the first woman to direct a Star Wars feature is bullshit, because all the 4 women I just mentioned were there before you. Oh, but the difference is, of course, there were no women of color. Oh, wait a minute, I'm sorry, Miss Chow, wasn't she a woman of color? Asian? Oh, well, that doesn't count, sorry. But for her to be directing a Star Wars franchise which she has zero, and I mean less than zero experience, she knows nothing of the franchise, nothing of its history, nothing of the universe, is not surprising because it is Disney. But when you have a franchise that has been decimated the way it's done, The Last Jedi, anyone? But yeah, for her to be touting off as, I am woman, hear me roar, when her history suggests, I am activist, hear me roar. When it came to her documentaries, when it came to showing up at the WEF, she's like a regular, Joe there. She shows up whenever they ask her to. Her TED talks about breaking glass ceilings and why a woman of color can't direct and yada, yada, yada. That's all it is. She is all activist Star Wars director. That's what she is. But at the end of the day, when this thing gets made in 26, it's going to be a complete cluster. We're 2 years away, and it's already trash. And from the number of videos that I've already seen and comments that I've read and heard, they are roasting this thing. Why? Because you're putting your activism, again, it's the agenda, and that's all Disney cares about. Disney cares about agenda, fuck the content, fuck the canon, fuck their established characters, fuck the source material. I would say, as I normally do, that's just me, but in this case, no, it's not just me. It's all the Star Wars fans out there, once again, who are slapping their foreheads and going, why the fuck? And with that being said, I'm Jazz Berganzo. This is What's Next. Want to see more like this? Please leave a comment below. Like it, share, subscribe to it, hit the notification bell so you guys never miss a thing. Continue to help this channel grow, spread the word, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
problem is the studio executives. The problem is that the studios used to be owned by people that cared about the movies. Now they're corporations. They don't love movies. They don't go to movies. They don't know what a movie is. And they do focus groups to try to determine who will go see a movie.
And Hollywood does that.
And Hollywood does that. And then they try to change the story to fit what they think what the polling results are. And you can't do that. That's not the way you make movies. Because it is not a business. You know, it's an art form.
And